How is the proliferation of mobile devices, not only how has it changed the way we do business and changed the way we talk to customers, but changed the way that they talk back to us, changed the way that we're delivering value. Praveen, in particular, I'd like to have you kind of talk about content. How do we access content through the mobile devices? How are companies, repurposing or getting people access to all of the information that they have out there? Ralph, obviously with search, it's very easy to say, all right, mobile, we say location-based, all right, that's like one of the things, but search isn't like that. Search is kind of the opposite. It's that goes inbound leads. How does the change of access impact the search world? And then let's talk about video content as well. Video content delivery over the mobile web and its impact on business. Who wants to start with you?
Well, I guess when it comes to mobile, I guess there's, for example, there's some clients here that, mobile, some people sit at their desk. Some of our clients, they're at their desk all the time. So mobile is so important to them. But ultimately, it's still, you're looking at communication channels, and mobile is there no matter what. Obviously, the B2C setting is a lot different. But talking about video specifically, I don't think there's really a client I've done business with that hasn't had a version of their videos for mobile as well as the desktop.
Let me comment on mobile first. I'll say something controversial. I had a guy when I worked for the big global media agency that headed up mobile for us globally, and he had this presentation I always found profound. He'd start his mobile presentation with a tombstone, and it said, "Mobile, rest in peace." And it was like, it was 3 years from now, like 2014, mobile, rest in peace. And it was profound, and his comment was that, the devices we all carry around now, I have a Droid, maybe you have an iPhone, whatever, they're becoming more and more powerful. They can play video, the browsers are better. If you have an iPad at home, is that a mobile device? Is it a computer? What is it? And his point was that it's just becoming, ubiquitous. And as if you're Analog Devices or PerkinElmer or the other firms here, I'm not sure how much time I would spend purely thinking about mobile. I don't fully subscribe to the rest in peace, but there's something to just think about there, and all the competing priorities about whether you spend your time doing special things for mobile or not. And I think some of the location-based stuff is interesting, and depending on the business, it might apply more than others. But I kind of come from the camp, back to your question about search then and video, I come from the camp that I'm not sure how profoundly different search is on mobile versus any kind of browser, and I think it's all blending together. So
I would agree in so much that for search, that's appropriate. But I think you have to understand and recognize that the mobile platform on its own is a completely different form factor, and it has completely different forms or ways by which people interact with that platform than with a computer or with any device that's been around. I mean, the emergence of the smartphone itself, I think, is like the S curve really started, the inflection point over there. And I think that you look at a mobile device and there's just user experience and usability considerations that you don't accommodate for. So when you run a search, whether you run it on the web, whether you run it on a computer, or whether you run it on your smartphone, maybe the results all kind of come back.
So my only pushback is, like 2 years ago, if you guys remember, like the browser on the BlackBerry, it was awful, right? It was terrible. And as a business, you spent cycles thinking about, well, maybe I need a special site that has, is easier to navigate because they're using this crippled browser, And that's just gradually going away and going away. It's just not as profound as it is today than it was. So I agree with you, although I think the gap is just closing dramatically.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is closing, but I think there are aspects of the platform itself that you can leverage, right? To me, it's more like, if you look at an iPhone, it has a camera, it has an accelerometer. There's parts of it now you can really start to maximize the effectiveness of what that platform provides. And I think that's kind of where you have to, as a marketer, figure out where it's going, right? And to me, that's what's unique about the mobile space, is that it has those qualities, that dimensions, that portability, that you want to take advantage of.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you?
You can use it as a cash register, go to stores and buy things.
Yeah,
check out. And that's,
QR codes. I mean, you just name it.
there's
There's
a
so
lot
much.
of things about that that we just.
There's innovation. I mean, I think if as much as there's innovation on the web, I think the mobile platform in its own right has emerged as a channel where there's tremendous innovation going on, right? And to me, when there's a channel that has so much innovation going on, you certainly as an organization have to look at it in its own right to see if you can use that channel or platform to maximize the effectiveness of your marketing program, right? So I think in a little bit the way I'm disagreeing is that there's uniqueness about that platform that really requires marketers to look at that in its own right and figure out if their customers are using that.
So I don't disagree with any of that. Like, I don't want to sound like the dinosaur. I love mobile. I love IT. The only thing I have you remember is that at least the companies I interact with are struggling with things like their data infrastructure and their customer records and I think the people in this room are going to have to make some choices about what projects they do and how. And should I fix my data infrastructure so I know a customer, I know them when they walk into my store and this and that, or should I do a fancy QR code thing that 1% of my users will use today? And again, I sound anti-mobile. I'm not, but there's a lot of customers have big enterprise customers today, or I call them customers, but companies. Just have a lot of projects to do to get to a place where they can even take advantage of it. That's why your business is going to triple this year.
Yeah.